Chapter 25. Day 3, 1000 hours. "And here we are," Stephen declared as he stopped in front of multiple workbenches. "The crafting area. The place where dreams come true. If you dream of making shit." Cameron looked around and saw that 2 others were working quickly on food, while a few more were busy making and upgrading armor and weapons. Cameron hadn't seen this level of crafting so far. He had only experimented back in the camp of the Eternials. It was interesting to him, the different things they were doing. He saw people breaking weapons down, inserting strange gems into items, and testing out different potions and grenades. He reckoned he could at least learn a little while he worked.
"No, that's complete and utter fucking garbage!"
One of the slayers, a dark blonde-haired man with a British accent, shouted. His face was red from the screaming, and he threw a rag at the other tinkerer with a considerable amount of force.
"It's fucking raw! I wouldn't eat that with my brother's mouth! Get the fuck out of my way!"
Stephen nudged Cameron and chuckled lightly to himself as they watched. "That's Orton," he said proudly. "He was one of the first people I found. A damned fiery man, though he's pretty funny when he's not working. One hell of a chef, though. He doesn't even use the crafting menu. He actually cooks the food and apparently earns more experience for it." "That's possible?" Cameron found himself asking. He didn't want to seem interested in what Stephen had to say, but the idea that not using the crafting menu yielded more experience was intriguing. "Yeah, I guess so," Stephen shrugged. "Only Orton can successfully do it, though. It's his unique skill." "Unique skill," Cameron repeated. "What's that?" "You know," Stephen said. "Unique skill. Everyone has one, like me. I can manage multiple parties, and people gain additional experience for being in my party. Or Robert over there can speak in different voices and change his class whenever he wants." "What?" Cameron couldn't believe what he was hearing. "I've never seen—" He stopped talking and suddenly thought of Floof, who could conjure pillows and hot drinks at will. Cameron always thought it was odd, but never really paid it too much thought. He wondered what his own unique skill was. "Horton!" Stephen called out, beckoning the man over. Horton looked up with an annoyed expression, though it turned into a welcoming smile when he saw Stephen. He wiped his hands off with a rag and walked over.
"Good morning, Stephen,"
Horton said as he approached. He reached out his hand and firmly grasped his leader's.
"I take it these are the new tinkerers you told me about. Are they worth shit?"
"Time will tell," Stephen replied as they released hands. "Go easy on them. They're new here and haven't quite got accustomed to the Slayer way of life."
"I'll do what I need to whip them into shape,"
Horton replied as he looked Pag and Cameron up and down.
"Were either of you chefs in real life?"
"No," Cameron replied. "I was a prisoner. Pag here's just a kid."
"I'm more than a kid,"
Pag grumbled.
"Great. Fucking fantastic."
He glared at Stephen.
"Thanks for scraping the bottom of the barrel for me. Come on then, get in line, you donkeys. Let's get you producing at least."
Horton grumbled as he turned away from Stephen and led Cameron and Pag to the crafting line. The other tinkerers looked up and whispered to each other as the 2 new guys approached.
"Right, show me what you got,"
Horton said, extending his hand out toward the crafting bench.
"Cook me some bacon and eggs."
He tossed a bit of uncooked bacon and laid a few eggs on the wooden counter before them. Hesitantly, Cameron reached out and picked the food up. He opened his crafting menu and placed the bacon into the input box. The food started cooking, and Cameron heard the same sizzling sound from back at the Eternials camp.
"How long?"
Horton asked as he loomed over Cameron's shoulder. 10 seconds, Cameron replied.
10 seconds what?
Horton inquired with an expectant tone. 10 seconds until done, Cameron answered.
"No!"
Horton grabbed Cameron's shoulders and turned him so that he faced them.
"When I ask you a question, the last word out of your mouth needs to be chef. So, when I say how long, you say
10 seconds, chef?
That's fucking right. You're a quick learner. Good for you."
Horton rolled his eyes and crossed his arms. He spoke quickly, as if he couldn't stand the taste of the words in his mouth.
10 seconds.
He shook his head and closed his eyes.
"That won't do. We have to get that time down. How many ability nuts do you have?"
Cameron paused as he opened his inventory to check.
"You?"
Horton threw his arms up impatiently.
"Unbelievable. Come on, hurry up then."
"I have 3, Cameron said.
"You have 3 what?"
Horton boomed.
"I have 3 nuts, chef,"
Cameron replied.
"Fucking garbage!" Horton yelled. "What are you supposed to do with 3 tiny little nuts? That won't help shit! I imagine your cooking ability is level 1, isn't it?"
"Bacon cooked, +2 experience."
"Yes, it's level 1, Cameron replied. "I care more about surviving than I do cooking." "How will you fucking survive if you don't eat, you twat?"
Horton yelled as he got in Cameron's face. Cameron closed his eyes as Horton's spit splashed against him and nodded. There was no arguing with this man.
"Yes, Chef," Cameron agreed. "You're right." "Of course I'm fucking right! I'm always right! Now, show me that bacon!"
Cameron pulled the bacon out of his inventory and placed it in front of Horton. Horton looked down at the blackened piece of pig fat and sucked on his teeth, shaking his head with apathy.
My. Now that is the most normal piece of fucking bacon that I've ever seen," Horton declared as he looked at it with contempt. "How far are you from leveling up? This level 1 bacon is just boring."
He took a bite of it and sighed, rolling his eyes.
"It's bland, tasteless, completely fucking worthless."
"I'm about 1,000 points away," Cameron replied, shocked he was even responding to the abrasive man.
"Great!"
Horton snapped as he placed a large pile of bacon in front of Cameron.
"Here's your 3 nuts and your cooking ability, and then make me 500 pieces of bacon. When you're finished and have leveled up, use the nuts you earn on your cooking ability again. Once you do that, you'll go down to 4 seconds apiece and may actually become useful."
Cameron opened his inventory and selected his ability nuts. He popped all 3 into his mouth and thought about his cooking skill. It rose to 4, and he shook his head with disappointment at the idea of having wasted 3 nuts. Then he took all 500 pieces of uncooked bacon and placed them into the input slot of his crafting menu. The timer said 3,500 seconds, and Cameron groaned. He was going to have to wait an hour for bacon.
"Right, now go sit down somewhere," Horton ordered. "Maybe discuss with your advisor advanced crafting techniques."
Horton turned toward Pag and licked his lips.
"So, do you think you can do any better, boy?"
Pag stood up a little straighter and looked around nervously. He didn't say anything, only stared up at the man fearfully.
"Well, up with it then," Horton said. "Let's see what you can do."
He placed more eggs on the table in front of Pag and raised his eyebrows expectantly.
I can make eggs Benedict, Pag said. Do you have milk, flour, and sugar?
"Eggs fucking Benedict,"
Horton repeated with a surprised tone.
My, I can't believe a boy of your age even knows what that is."
Horton stared at Pag with a curious expression and finally nodded his head.
"All right, I see you actually want to do some real cooking. I will prepare the hollandaise sauce. You cook the muffins. If you fuck this up, though, I'll personally hang you back on that cross."
All right,
Pag said as he wiped a bead of sweat from his brow.
no problem.
Horton placed the items Pag needed onto the table in front of him, and Pag placed them into his inventory.
"You have enough slots, right?" Horton asked. "You're going to need quite a few of them to combine all the ingredients. 4, I think."
Yes, 4, Pag replied. I've done this before.
"Oh, have you?"
Horton watched the boy, and a smile formed on his face. "Okay, get to work then." Horton snorted and turned away to go to manage his other tinkerers. When he was out of earshot and the two were finally alone, Cameron turned to Pag and whispered, "What are you planning?" he asked. "What were those flowers back there?"
Ricinus communis, Pag replied with a wicked smile. Jasmine back at camp pointed them out to me. I can use them to make ricin.
Ricin? Cameron's eyes grew wide and he smiled. "You mean like the poison?"
Oh, yeah.
Pag quietly cackled as he worked to refine the plants he had harvested down to the beans.
Oh, man, I have so many. I'm going to poison the entire camp.
"You're a genius, kid," Cameron whispered. "So, what will it do?"
Oh, you know, Pag said deviously. Bloody diarrhea, seizures, organ failure. And if I throw some of it in the fire before we leave, we can expect difficulty breathing, fever, coughing, low blood pressure. Death.
Pag's eyes narrowed on the poison he was carefully crafting, and his body seemed to quiver at the prospect of poisoning everyone. Cameron thought this was mildly creepy, but he also felt that what the kid was doing would give them a window to escape.
"How long will it take before things start getting nasty?"
I don't know, Pag said. In the real world, symptoms can show up in 4 to 6 hours. But here, everything is faster and more intense. As soon as they eat the eggs Benedict, we had better get ready. While you wait for the bacon, you should go ahead and prepare for whatever you plan on doing.
Cameron nodded, and he patted the kid on top of his flat top. "Good job, Pag," Cameron said. "I'll get to it."
Cameron turned around and felt a certain warmth inside his chest. He walked over to a wooden chair that was nearby and took a seat. He had an hour of free time, so he decided he should get himself ready. He opened his inventory and looked at the respec stone. "Grizzly," Cameron called out in his head. "Can you hear me?"
Sure enough, buddy.
Grizzly replied.
You boys are planning something a little wild, eh?
"Trying," Cameron said. "So, tell me about this respec stone."
Alrighty then. The respec stone will allow you to take all your stat points and put them in a pool and redistribute them however you want. It'll also reset your ability and skill levels to 0 and allow you to redistribute all your nuts. You can also use it to ascend, though with your current skill level I would highly advise against that.
"What does ascend mean?" Cameron asked.
When you hit higher levels, ascension will allow you to start over at level 1. You lose all your stats, your abilities, and skills, as well as your class, but you keep a percentage of your nuts. So, if you're level 50, you get 50% of your nuts. If you're level 100, you keep all the nuts you acquired. Seeing how you can't advance past level 100, well, this is a great way for a long-term player to become extremely powerful.
"So I shouldn't do that then," Cameron clarified.
Like I said,
Grizzly continued,
I would highly advise against it. You will not get enough nuts to make a difference, and you will lose all your progress. I would go with the standard respec if I were you.
"Great," Cameron said. "It's all I need right now. Thank you."
No problem, buddy,
Grizzly said.
I'm rooting for you. Good luck.
At that, Grizzly was gone, and Cameron was left to plan his next move. He looked over his abilities carefully and tried to figure out the next move. Lesser Fireball, level 20. Cost, 50 AP. Cooldown, 5 seconds. 39 to 59 fire damage, plus 54 to 60 modifier. 93 to 119 total damage. Craft Lesser Healing Item, level 4. Minus 3 seconds to cook time, minimum of 1 second. Craft Basic Armor, level 5. Craft up to level 5 armor. Fire Mastery, level 5, plus 25% to fire attacks. Craft Basic Debuff Potion, level 1. Craft Basic Melee Weapon, level 1. Ethereal Armor, level 1. Cost, 200 AP. Cooldown, 10 minutes, plus 250 armor. As he looked over his abilities, he saw some that he hadn't really spent any time thinking about. Ethereal Armor, for instance, was one that he had just gained when he hit level 11, but he had been in a rage and didn't even notice it. He looked it over and stroked his chin as he considered the possibilities. He also took a moment to look over his stats. Name, Cameron. Class, Tinkerer. Level, 11. Experience, 12,744 of 13,700. HP, 160. AP, 215. Armor, 60. Statistics, Strength, 1. Dexterity, 23. Intelligence, 43. Vitality, 12. Skills, Unarmed, 1 of 20. Shotgun, 3 of 20. Light Armor, 20 of 20. Pistol, 1 of 20. Fireball, 1 of 20. Primary gun damage, 0. Melee damage, 1. Carry capacity, 50 pounds. Run speed, 33. Stat nuts, 1. Skill nuts, 11. Ability nuts, 0. Cameron did a few quick calculations in his mind and realized that when he respect, he would have 76 stat nuts to distribute, 30 skill nuts, and 30 ability nuts. As he reclined in his chair, he decided he was going to go all out on his fireball and ethereal armor abilities, as well as his light armor and fireball skills. That way, he could hopefully become an untouchable fireball-casting sentinel who could one-shot his enemies. Once he had a general idea of how he was going to respec, Cameron opened up his fame window to access the premium score. Player Cameron. Subscribers, 2,789,246. Currently viewing, 735,415. Contributions, 1,580,976 happy coins. Rewards, 12,232 happy coins. Spent coins, 100,000. Total, 1,493,208 happy coins. Subscriber chat. Blood Adept.
Horton's such a prick.
Rotoban.
He's not as bad as Steven, in my opinion.
Deverash.
Nah, I don't think Steven's actually that bad.
Silence.
Steven's a prick, so are you, Dev.
Sal. User. Cameron has entered chat. Dame.
Hello, Cameron. We're all rooting for you.
Zion.
You can do it, dude.
Ink Bamboo.
We believe in you.
Queen Dookie.
Have my babies.
Ali. Sal has removed this message.
Cameron smiled as he read over his chat, but he didn't have time to play around. He was happy his fans were so supportive of him, even though they had undoubtedly seen his memories just like he had. He continued on to the premium store. "Oh my God," Cameron gasped when he saw what was on the front page. It was something like he had only ever seen in cartoons or science fiction movies. A robotic armored suit that advertised it could move twice as fast as a human and that came equipped with a minigun and grappling hook attached to the arms. G-Class Exoskeleton, he read out loud. Wreak havoc on your enemies and rip them to shreds. Jump over 50 yards. Bend steel. Comes with rechargeable 500 armor bonus. The price was staggering at 1 million happy coins, but Cameron thought it would be perfect for Bernard. He made a mental note to bring it up when he got back to the cage. Okay, armor, Cameron inaudibly whispered to himself. Armor here, light armor, Tinkerer specific, level 11, perfect. Wait, what's this crap?
Robes of Undying. Light armor, level 10. Rarity, unique. Plus 25 armor. Plus 3 intelligence. Undying effect. If wearer sustains damage that exceeds his available hit points, 1 hit point will remain and armor will immediately begin recharging.
Yeah, right, Cameron scoffed. Looks like something an average Joe would like. Not for me. He continued looking. Okay, something that boosts fire mastery. He looked through the armor, and after about 20 minutes, he found a set that looked perfect.
The Red God's Battle Gear. Infernal Battle Mage Leather Cuirass. Chest armor. Light armor, level 10. Rarity, unique. Plus 60 armor. Plus 2 fire mastery. Infernal Battle Mage Corinthian Helm. Head armor. Light armor, level 10. Rarity, unique. Plus 40 armor. Plus 2 fire mastery. Infernal Battle Mage Combat Boots. Foot armor. Light armor, level 10. Rarity, unique. Plus 20 armor. Plus 2 fire mastery. Infernal Battle Mage Leather Pants. Leg armor. Light armor, level 10. Rarity, unique. Plus 20 armor. Plus 2 fire mastery. Infernal Battle Mage's Pistol Belt. Waist. Light armor, level 10. Rarity, unique. Plus 10 armor. Plus 2 fire mastery. Plus 20 carry capacity. Infernal Battle Mage's Crimson Cloak. Shoulder armor. Light armor, level 10. Rarity, unique. Plus 15 armor. Plus 2 fire mastery. Infernal Battle Mage's Leather Bracers. Hand armor. Light armor, level 10. Rarity, unique. Plus 10 armor. Plus 2 fire mastery. Price for set, 400,000 happy coins. Buy, yes or no?
Cameron smiled at the Spartan-looking battle mage armor and bookmarked the set so that he could buy it immediately as soon as Pag's poison set in. He backed out of the armor and hurried to the mounts section. They were going to need to beat a hasty retreat, so Cameron looked through the vehicles and animals to try to find something that he could both afford and that would go fast. He had no idea what to expect from the animals, so he skipped past those and focused on the vehicles. He had roughly 1 million happy coins at his disposal, which was a good thing. The vehicles were not cheap. He ultimately landed on an armor-plated truck with a rear-mounted machine gun in the bed. It was 850,000 happy coins, but he didn't have any qualms with the price. He bookmarked the vehicle and closed out his menu. With a sigh, he leaned back in his chair and looked up at the sky above him. Their escape was coming, and it was coming soon. All Cameron had to do was wait for the bacon to get done cooking and wait for Pag to finish his Eggs Benedict. When all that was done, he would be ready to get out of there and get back to his friends. As he looked above, he closed his eyes and continued to wait.